Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this, my first experience sort of doing a video, I guess. What we're going to do is we're going to download a virtual server called MAMP, M-A-M-P, and we're going to, that'll allow us to run WordPress locally on our laptops. You can do that, or you can upload it to your own server if you would rather experiment right online. The nice thing about this is that it's local. It's happening right in front of you. There's no chance anybody else is going to see it. You can make mistakes with impunity, right? So yeah, you go to MAMP. .info downloads, or just Google MAMP, M-A-M-P, and you'll eventually find this page that talks about downloading. And then what you want to download is the MAMP and MAMP Pro 5.7. You don't need MAMP Pro. Do what we need to do. You'll get fine with the free version. That'll be fine. Click that and download it. That'll take a little while, and then once that downloads, you need to install it. So just basically double-clicking the installer package, and that'll happen. Once it's installed, you'll see it show up in your applications folder. So if you make a new file window, Finder window, you'll see that applications in there, and then if you scroll through all I've got the billion stupid things I never use anymore, and then there's MAMP right there. And that is what we're going to use. And in fact, really the only thing we're going to use in here, you'll also see it creates when you do the install, it creates a MAMP Pro folder as well. You can just drag that to the trash. You don't need that to be bothering you. So you can just dump it. Inside the MAMP folder, you'll see the MAMP app, which is just the little icon with the elephant. And then you'll see an htdocs folder, and that folder is the one we're going to put our WordPress install. That's where it's going to live. And then we'll access that through a regular browser. Okay, so the second thing you need to do, once you have that downloaded and you've installed it, is you don't have to turn it on yet, you just need to install it. And then we're going to go to WordPress, and you're going to download a fresh copy of WordPress. That shouldn't take too long. It's pretty small. The install for MAMP might be a little bit longer. Oh, and I should mention that there is a version of MAMP for the PC if you're using a PC. I think it's called XAMP, X-A-M-P or something. I'm, again, Mac guy. I don't really know for sure. And I know there is one little kind of weird thing about the differences between the two, at least there used to be, where the Mac was a little bit easier to find where your website eventually lives on your server. And I think there's a little bit of a hiccup with the PC version. So if you're using a Mac, I can help you. If you're using a PC, you might want to Google the problem. I'll tell you when it shows up. Right, download a copy of WordPress. And then that should go in your downloads folder somewhere, right? And then I'm going to uncompress that. And you'll see mine's called WordPress 2 because somewhere in this massive unclean there's a lot of stuff in there. Just rename it now. So if you click on that, just rename that folder to my site or something like that. So my _site. Doesn't really matter what you name it. I'm just trying to stay within the web rules of no spaces and that kind of stuff. Okay, so now I've got two windows open. I've got my MAMP, so the applications window where MAMP is showing and the htdocs folder is showing, and I have my downloads folder with my uncompressed version of WordPress. I'm going to take that and I'm going to drag it inside my htdocs folder, like so. If you look inside the My Site thing, you'll see a bunch of things in there. Where WP content is, that's where our themes are going to live. And there's a bunch of other things in there. WP config sample, that's something that's important later on as well too, if you have problems. But usually this works pretty seamlessly, usually. Okay, so that's in there. And now what I need to do is actually turn on MAMP. So I'm going to go back to my MAMP folder, and I'm going to double click MAMP. Might take a little while to open or to start up. Yeah. No. Go away. How do I get rid of you? Where's the X? Jesus, is that the X? Oh man, hide that. Okay. Right, this is MAMP. You see there's two little areas in the top that look like they're almost like they're lights. Apache server and MySQL server. Those little suckers have to be green. So I'm going to click Start Servers. Sometimes when you turn on MAMP, it automatically starts up. This one isn't doing that. And if it works, it should open up a browser window in whatever your default browser is, and that will tell you that it's working. And if you look at the MAMP application in itself, you should see two little green lights there. If you don't, make sure you have everything else shut off, because that sometimes helps. And there are some specific things you can do if it doesn't want to start up. I find that more common problem with old versions of this is that it actually won't shut down, and that is a little bit complicated. But hopefully, maybe they fix those bugs and this is better. I haven't used this version; it's brand new to me as well. Okay, so back to the web. And then in here, you'll see there's a bunch of stuff. Start, buy MAMP Pro, buy, right? And under Tools, you'll see PHP MyAdmin. This will come up even when, actually a lot, if you're designing stuff with WordPress for a client, you'll be very familiar with this stuff after a while. Click PHP MyAdmin, and it'll open up this beautifully designed interface from 1992, 93 maybe. And then click Databases. And you'll see that I already have one in here because I was trying this a little bit earlier to see if it would work. And I'm going to make a new one. So create database, right? We're under databases here. Hopefully you see that. And then where it says database name, I'm going to enter name, and I'm going to call mine something like, let's see, what was the folder was my site. You can call it anything you like. I'm going to call it my site. Not slide, site, dbase. All right, that's what I'm going to call mine. If you call yours the same thing, then maybe I can help you if you have problems if it doesn't work. Might make things simpler. I'm going to click create. Okay, and you have to remember that name. So my _ site _ dbase. I'm going to forget it anyway. So now we go back to, what do we do now? Now what do I have to do? I go back to my website. So, all right. Now if you notice at the top of the screen here, that PHP MyAdmin opened up kind of a weird URL. We're going to use part of that URL. And that's where our site is going to show up. So up here, with a brand new tab, type in localhost, and then 4 8s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Localhost : 4 8s. 8888. And hit return, and you should see an index of what's inside your htdocs folder inside the MAMP folder. And it should basically be the same as your as the folder name that you gave whatever your WordPress site was. So in my case, it's called My Site. If I click that, all right, we're getting close to the install area. And from here, I'm going to pause for a minute, just for fun. Okay, I'm back. It's a day later, and we stopped at this crucial part where we're about to install WordPress. You'll see that you need a couple of things. You need a database name, you need a database username, you need a database password, a database host, a table prefix, and some of this stuff is set up automatically. Well, the default settings will be fine for us. The really important thing is to remember that database name. So I'm going to click Let's Go. All right. So here we have to enter our database name, and if you're like me and can't remember anything, you want to go back and check to make sure what that is. And so I just clicked my localhost PHP myadmin tab on my browser, and I'll see that it's called my underscore site underscore database, dbase. Okay, cool. Cool. My underscore site underscore dbase. Look, it's right there for me. Nice. Okay, here's the weird thing. Because we're using MAMP, the username and password must both be set to root. That is an entirely unsafe practice if you're installing WordPress on your own server, because WordPress is hacked quite a bit. So never, ever, ever do that if you're installing WordPress onto your actual server. But for MAMP to run, it has to be, your username has to be root and your password has to be root. Database host you can leave as localhost, and you can leave the table prefix as WP. And if you've got your database name set correctly, make sure it's super sensitive. You can't, capital M, no. Make sure that it's set exactly the way your database is named, and then click Submit. All right, we're getting closer. Now we need to run the installation. Okay, so here we are now in sort of the back end of WordPress, and you have to enter another username and password, but this username and password is for you to get access to the dashboard of WordPress. So there's two sets of them. There's the database username and password, and then there's the WordPress username and password. And so we're at the WordPress one. So for site title, I'm going to call this one my site. And for your title, you can use uppercase letters, you can use spaces, you can use whatever you want. And it doesn't even really matter because we can change it once we're actually in the dashboard itself. The username, you can leave it as admin. That's the sort of default one that comes up. And then I'm picking an extremely weak password of 123456. Again, if you pick that for the purposes of this demo, then if you have any questions, I might be able to help you. Just pick the same ones as I do for now anyway. And again, this is something you would definitely not do if you were setting this up on your own server. You want to make a very strong password for this and pick a username that wouldn't be admin, because again, that's really easily guessed. You're going to confirm the use of a really, really weak password, and then you're going to include your email address, because once this is installed, WordPress will send you an email saying, hey, here's your new site. On the bottom here, it says search engine visibility. Because this is just running on our laptops on our local server, right? Just our local laptop server. You don't need to worry about that. Click Install WordPress. And with any kind of luck, we come to the success word. That's a nice word. Okay, here we're going to click Login. And then what it's going to ask for is your WordPress username and password. And that was super simple for us. Mine's already populated in, but it would be admin, and then our password, our super easy password, was 123456, and then click Login. And now you should be at the dashboard of your WordPress site. We did it. You now have one working on your laptop. Yay. Okay. That's where we're going to stop here for now, and then the next video will talk a little bit about WordPress itself and how to work around with that, and we'll install a plugin, we'll install a theme and some plugins as well, and start working with this pretty decent content management system. A lot of people use it. There are a bunch of other ones out there, but it's not a bad one to sort of get your feet wet with. Thanks. All right.